everybody, this is Ogini Supreme here with another tutorial on how to use GUI. Today I'm going to go over how to create radio buttons. So of course, to use GUI we have to import it by typing import GUI. Now another thing we need is a loop, and inside that loop we need exit when GUI.processEvent. ProcessEvent is a variable and it returns true when the method GUI.quit is called. This is so that the program doesn't quit until you type GUI.quit. So let's get into radio buttons. As you see, I made a variable button that has an array of 4 different integers. And I am in the process of making a procedure that I'm going to use in my radio button. So let's talk about how to make these radio buttons. So obviously you type GUI.CreateRadioButton. Then, inside brackets, you type your parameters. The first ones you're going to type are your X parameter, so let's say 100, your Y parameter, so let's say 200, then you're going to type the text that appears inside the radio button, so let's say bad, just the word bad. Now the next parameter is a little bit difficult to understand. It's called the join ID, and it's of type integer. What this does is it allows you to make a group of buttons so that of that group you can only select one. Now since I have no other button to join, I type 0. And the next parameter is your procedure, and my procedure is yay. Now let's make our next radio button. So let's say I want to keep it the same X value and I make it 180. Then I type OK. Now this time I want it to be joined to the first button. What this means is that they're both in the same group. So I would type the variable that is the other button, which is button with a subscript of 1. And then the same procedure, let's say yay again. Now let's create a third radio button. Now like GUI.CreateButton, there's also another thing called CreateRadioButtonFull. This is basically saying create radio button and allow the full amount of parameters. So there's still the X and Y value, there's still the text. Now for the linking, let's say now for the join parameter, let's say I want to join it in that group. So what you'd probably do is button and then 1. This is incorrect because you cannot join more than one button into one button. So what you would do is go button 2. That is because button 2 is already joined to button 1. An easier way to think about it is a chain. You would have your first link, your second link would be joined to the first link, and the third link would be joined to the second link. It would not be joined to the first link. And then the same thing, our procedure. Now the next parameter, now we're still not done. The next parameter is our alignment. This is so that we can align our text to the left side of the button or to the right side. Now there are 3 things we're allowed to type here. We're allowed to type a 0, GUI.left, or GUI.right. If you type a 0, that sets it to the default. If you type GUI.left, it'll align the text to the left of the button, whereas right aligns it to the right side of the button. Now there is one more parameter. It's a keyboard shortcut. This could be anything, so let's say D. This is how you format keyboard shortcuts. So now let's make one last button. So we're going to do the same thing, and then we're going to call it great, and we're going to link it to the third button. Think of the chain again. And then our procedure, we're going to align it to the left this time, and then our shortcut for it is going to be, let's say, E. So now we have all 4 of our buttons that we need. So now let's work on our procedure. Now let's say in this procedure I want to output something based on which button I pressed. This is accomplished by making an if statement, and then your button variable equal to GUI.getEvent widget ID. So let's say I want to put you suck. And I can make an else if statement for button 2. And let's say I want to put for this time, you're alright. And the same thing applies to button 3, even though it's a radio button full and not just a radio button. Now let's say this time I want to put you're pretty good. And lastly, we can do the exact same thing for button 4. You could also have used an else statement. And let's say I want to put you are awesome. So there's our procedure. Let's see if it's effective. So I got my 4 buttons. And as you see, the third button, the text is on the left side instead of the right. That's because I use GUI.Write, which makes the button to the right of the text. So if I click OK, it says you're alright. If I click bad, it says you suck. If I click good, it says you're pretty good. And if I click great, you're awesome. Now I created a fifth button to show what happens if you type 0 as the join ID for another button. As you see, you can click numerous buttons. You can click this one and then another one. This shows that it's in a different group. So this concludes my tutorial on how to make radio buttons with the GUI module. So thank you guys for watching this tutorial. If you liked, you can subscribe to my channel. This is Ogany Supreme, logging off.